Welcome to our fourth installment of Unique to CINC. This is our webinar series where we get to cover some of the really cool things about CINC that make your life easier, save you money, save you time, all the good stuff. This fourth one is probably our second one we've had with more than one specialist, more than one person. So we are lucky to have today Brad Aching, who is our senior product manager, and he's excellent. Look at that beautiful smile. You can tell he's got good info for us today. And also Ryan McCready, who is over implementation and support, and he's also our HOAst guy. He knows everything about HOAst. He's a specialist in that area. So I'm going to briefly let them introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our demo portion of today. So we're going to start with Brad.
Thank you, Ashley. Like Ashley said, my name is Brad Aching, and I'm the senior product manager here at CINC. And the products that I manage here are the homeowner and board mobile apps, the homeowner and board portals on the web, as well as our CINC Manager app.
Yes, and Ryan.
Yes, I am Ryan. I'm on the HOAst side of CINC, and HOAst is our online voting platform. Allows a voter to vote from anywhere, whether it's the comfort of their homes or from their phones on a cruise ship. So that's why on the HOAst side, I'm mainly involved on the product, how to make it better, and also on the implementation side.
Awesome. So guys, without further ado, we're going to get started. Just to reiterate, in case you weren't here when we first mentioned, we're recording this. So if you need to pop out, totally understandable. We're going to send a recording at the end of this. If for some reason you happen to miss not get the recording, or if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm Ashley Carter, part of the marketing team. I can be reached at ashley.carter@cincsystems.com. And without further ado, we'll let Brad lead off.
All right. Thanks, Ashley. Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So like Ashley said, we're going to cover the board tools in the homeowner and board portals and the homeowner and board app. So what I'd like to do is start with the portals themselves and walk you through all the different board screens that you can access, and just go from there. And then I'll move on to the app. So when you log into your portal, you usually get taken to this dashboard view. This is specific to the homeowner and not the board. But the beauty of our product is the way we set it up is you get to automatically know if the user who is logging in is part of the board or part of a subcommittee on the board or anything like that. And if they are, it will recognize they are, and it will show all those appropriate board screens to that user. So it makes it very easy for you to be able to access the screens that you need to get to once you log in. So once you log in, what I want to start with is our document screen. And on our document screen, I wanted to start with this one because it can be really specific to board or homeowners. And so we give you the ability to set up the folders, the permission level of the folders by board or by homeowner, or again, by subcommittees on the board. So that way, if I'm logging in and I only see certain folders, it means I don't have access to the other ones. But since this user that I am logged in with is a board member, they get to see the board financials folder. So any financials that are published from CINC straight to web access, which is our portals, they would have access to those. So that's one area in here that would be specific to board members. And like I said, you can designate any folder you want to be a board view only folder. And then any of those files within that folder you would be able to see, but normal homeowners who would log in would not see those. Next, I will go to action items. Action items are set up in CINC, and they can be assigned to board members. So if any board member does have an action item that they need to take care of, they would be able to access it from the screen here. So when they get to the screen, they would see any open action items that they might need to complete. Any that are overdue will be shown in red. And then if they just need to see the details of that action item, they can just click the details, and they can get into all the specific information of that action item, as well as direct information about that homeowner account if the action item was linked to a homeowner account. And that would include quick access to any violations the homeowner had, work orders, if they were in collections, and then that homeowner's ledger. Next is our ACC approval screen. This is for the ACC or ARC committee. So from this screen here, you'll be able to approve, review, submit your recommendation for any open ACC requests within your community. So we make this pretty easy for you. You get to designate a certain individual as what we call the ACC chairperson. That person is the one who would make the final decision from the board perspective on that ACC request. But anybody on the ARC committee would be able to view details of any ACC requests out there and be able to submit notes to them. And then that ACC chairperson will be able to submit that final decision after reviewing it with the board. So there's a lot of different options you can do from this screen here. You can just search by open or pending, completed, all, or even a combination of any type of status of an ACC request, as well as some advanced search options like a date filter of the date requested, date it was sent to committee, an auto approval date, or the date the committee gave their response. And then some additional filters as well, such as if that ACC was a new ACC request, an existing one with new notes, or ones that just haven't changed at all. And then when you get into details of each ACC request, you get to see all the attachments of that request, the details of the request, and again, any notes about that request as well. Next would be our board aging screen. The board aging screen just gives you a quick 30, 60, 90 view of every single property within your community. And you can sort that by different variables here, the account number, address, or balance. And then you get to see all the assessments that were given to that particular property in the current period, over 30 days, over 60, over 90, and then obviously the total balance. So it just gives you a quick view of that report there. Next would be our accounts receivable screen. Very similar to the 30, 60, 90 view, but this just lets you break it down a little bit easier. So if you wanted to see homeowners that were in all collection levels, homeowners with a balance, all homeowners, 30-day notice, 60-day notice, you can kind of filter that range down to get to exactly the homeowners you want to see based off that criteria. And then once you do that, you can click on any one of these columns to sort it by that particular column. So if you want to sort it by who has the biggest balance, you can just sort by that column right there at the end. Next would be our invoice approvals. So any invoices that need to be approved by the board, you'll see here. So once you get to these invoices here, you'll be able to approve and decline if you have that permission. You'll be able to approve and decline any of these invoices. So you get to see the invoice image, the invoice description, as well as what the invoice date was. And if it had prior approvers, you get to see who approved it before you. And if they also had recent payments to this particular vendor, you get to see recent payments as well. And then you can just click next to go to the next one. And as you scroll through, you just get to approve or decline any one of these particular invoices. All right. Next would be our violations review. So this is any violations that are existing within the community. So it defaults to violations without fines, but you could filter that by violations with a pending fine approval, violations with active fines, or all open violations. Or you can display all of them by clicking display all. And then you get to see a breakdown of every single violation within that community. And if you click on the details button, you get to see any notes added to that particular violation, or as well as download any attachments that were also part of that violation. That includes any violation letters, as well as any violation pictures that the inspector took. Next is the board work order review. So very similar to violations, you were able to see all the work orders within your community as well. So you can filter by all work orders, by open work orders, by work order status, or work order location, or work order type. And then you can do a date range as well. And all these work orders here are listed out in a very similar grid. You can also, once you click the details, you'll get the same kind of detail breakdown. And I'm sorry, if I don't know if you guys hear my dog barking in the background, but that's the beauties of working from home, I guess. But you get the details of that work order right here, as well as any attachments and notes, and you can download those files. And then you can also set up where you can actually add comments or attachments to that particular work order. And that is a setting as well. So if you don't want boards to be able to add comments or attachments, you can turn that off. And then and that is also, by the way, that is true for the ARC approvals. If you don't want certain ARC committee members to add comments or attachments, you can turn that setting off as well. All right, and then the last screen I want to show you is our homeowner listing screen. This screen is really, I would say, for board eyes only. It's not, I wouldn't think of it as a directory. This is a homeowner listing screen that would be a basic replica of the homeowner listing screen that you see in CINC. So regardless if that homeowner has registered for the community or not, you get to see a breakdown of every single homeowner within the community. And again, we'd like to stress that this really is for board use only, because unauthorized distribution of this list may be in violation of state or local laws. So please check your laws if you do make it available publicly. But we usually say this is a specific screen to board members only. And then once that is the last screen there from the web portal. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip over to our app and show you, you can do all these screens that I just showed you on the portal, you can access from the app as well. So if your community has an app available, let me just share my app screen here. If your community has an app available, once you log into the app, you get a very similar view of when you first log into the app as you do when you log into the web portal. And then as you scroll down, you'll see that this particular user, which is the same user that was logged into the web portal, has access to all these particular board screens that we just went over in the web. So when you look into all these different board screens, you're going to get the same exact information in the app as you did. It's just in a friendly mobile view. So if you're on the go, you're able to get to all this information without having to log into a desktop site. So this is just a few of the screens here. So that was the board accounts receivable screen. This is the board action item screen, broken down between open and completed action items. And then you can obviously do a date range if you needed to. And then if that account, again, if that action item was linked to a homeowner account, you get to get quick access to more information about that particular homeowner. And then the ACC review, again, very similar to what you saw on the web, just all the open ACC requests. You can also look at completed ACC requests and do a date filter on that one. And then as you get into each ACC request, you get to see any committee notes that were added. If, again, you are the ACC chairperson, you can make that committee decision for the committee. And you can also view any attachments as well. And then real quick, so violations review and board work orders review is going to be very similar to the ACC review, where you just get to see details about that particular violation. You get to do a breakdown of the violation just like you could in the web portal. And then you can access any notes on that violation as well as any attachments. And the same goes for the work orders review. So you get to view all the open work orders within the community. You can set that filter if you need to set it, access any of those particular work orders, and then even be able to add any attachments or add any notes that needed to be added. And then finally is our invoice approval screen. Again, very similar to the screen on the web portal. It's just in an app-friendly view. So you can approve and decline straight from this list here. And then obviously, if you wanted to see a bigger breakdown of that particular invoice, you could see the preview of the invoice, as well as see, again, the recent vendor payments or prior approvers or anything like that. And as you go through, you can actually scroll through all these invoices straight from here without having to go back to the previous screen. So that is the screens from within the mobile app view. And the last thing I want to touch on before I pass it off to Ryan is really our direct integration with HOAst. So when you get into HOAst, you'll be able to set up a HOAst landing page essentially on the web portal, and then it will go straight into to the host site, which I'm going to stop my share and give it to Ryan and let him take it away from here.
All right, thank you, Brad.
Yep.
Let me go ahead and share my screen. So being logged on is the same, and I can make sure that you can see my screen, Brad. Everything's
Yes.
good. Okay. So logged on as the same owner as Brad was logged on. So I'm logged on as John Ringer, and you can see up here at the top of the page, I have my online voting button. And when I click on that button and click on vote now, I'm then taken inside of my online voting account on my host. So in this case, John Ringer has already logged on before. When you log on the very first time, there are a few additional steps you do. For example, you'll sign the terms and conditions, and you'll also an owner can then also opt in or opt out to receive email, and then they get to the voting page. So in John Ringer's in this case for John Ringer, they've already logged on, and so they land on the voting page. And John Ringer isn't a property manager or an admin, so they don't have any additional features they can access. All they really access are the votes here. So I can see my annual meeting, the time and date, and then I have 2 votes that are being done for this meeting. And when I click on click here to view, I'm sorry, when I click on click here to vote, that's when I land inside the first online ballot. So I can see this for my meeting, the time and date and location of the meeting. And then my first question is to select no more than 2 candidates for the board of directors. Resumes are attached. If I click on the attachment, I'll get a copy of the resumes of the candidates running for the board. This can be any size document. But only 1 document can be attached per vote. When I go back to the ballot, I can see that I can select a minimum number of 0, or I can select a maximum number of 2. So the select minimum of 0 means that I could submit a blank ballot, and a blank ballot does count for quorum. Or I can select a 1 candidate, I can select 2, but I cannot select 3. If I try to vote for 3, I will get an error that my ballot is invalid. You cannot have an invalid ballot when voting online. So once I uncheck a name to make my ballot valid, I sign it and click on vote and confirm. My first ballot is submitted, and then if I have any additional items being voted on, I'm then immediately redirected inside of the next ballot. And this ballot says, do you approve of the rollover of surplus funds? The board recommends an in favor vote. For this one, I have to choose one, and I can only choose one. So I'll say in favor. Again, I'll sign my name and confirm my vote. And then once I've submitted a ballot for every single vote, I'm kicked back out to the voting page, and I can see a vote has been submitted, or a ballot has been submitted for every vote. I can also sign our general proxy form. If the meeting is requiring a general proxy, I can sign this, and I can see that the secretary of the board has been named the default proxy holder. So I can either choose the default proxy holder, or I can choose someone else's name to represent me at the meeting. So I'll say a John Smith is going to be my proxy holder. I'll sign my proxy and sign, and now I've also submitted a proxy for the vote. And then also as a voter, because I've submitted my first vote, I'll also receive an email receipt confirming who I voted for. So it has my association name, who the ballot was submitted by, when, how many votes were submitted for that address, and then the selections I made. So my ballot, I voted for George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. And then in my second ballot, it shows my receipt says in favor. And at that point, I can log off. I have nothing else to do. My time as a voter is done. It took me about maybe 2 minutes to vote as a voter electronically. We always like to say you can vote electronically faster than you can find a stamp. That's all from up from the voter standpoint, we'll pass it over back to
Myself.
yes.
So if you guys if you guys are already a CINC customer, then I'm sure these are things you already know about, or maybe it was a refresher. If you are not yet a CINC customer, then I encourage you to go to cincsystems.com/request a demo. If you are a CINC customer and you have further questions, like I know everyone may not be, they may not have access to HOAst just yet. If you're interested in HOAst, you can reach out to your account specialist, or if there's any confusion over who that is, any questions you may have, I'm happy to take them. And that email, because I saw someone asked, that email again is ashley.carter@cincsystems.com. So thank you guys all.